Thanks very much, Jonathan. Thank you, Martin. We've had plenty of drama this weekend. You can see there Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso just discussing life back at Silverstone. And there's the man in the middle, the man on pole once again, Sebastian Vettel. And I suppose we shouldn't be too surprised, should we, boys? Red Bull came here, they dominated last year. This is now their 9th pole position out of 10 races, Eddie. They are just unstoppable.
Well, it's just remarkable how they can continue. Adrian Newey, his team, Christian Horner, huge compliment to that team. That the initiative and the generation of the control and the speed and the new part is fabulous.
And we can see Sebastian on board here, David.
Yeah, we're joining him, just running down past the start-finish straight. Realigned this part of the track to give a bit more room for the motorbikes. Difficult to tell from this actual shot whether he had a lift or not. I couldn't hear properly on my audio, but 7th gear through Kopp's corner, completely flat through Maggots, completely flat through the first part of Beckett's. Down a couple of gears in the middle and then just heading all these apexes. And look at that, using every last part of the curb as he runs out onto the hangar straight. Great section here. It's actually a little bit more downhill than you can tell from the television angle. And then the approach to Stowe. Down a couple of gears, again hugging and actually using some of the artificial grass on the exit of Stowe. And a big stop down to Club. First time they actually get heavy on the brakes. We're almost halfway around the lap as he then has the double apex exit of Club Corner. And just using every single part of the road. No mistakes to be seen on this lap so far as he goes through the very bumpy Abbey section of the lap and then down into the arena part of the lap. Again, big stop, fighting the rear a little bit on entry, so probably running quite a lot of front end as he goes into loop, exit of loop. And watch his left hand up against the side of the cockpit, holding the, whatever it is they call it, to activate the F duct. You know, he'll be pulling about 4G through that corner, one hand on the wheel. Big breakdown into Brooklands, lots of curb on the inside, and then he really throws it into this last corner. Look how wide he goes, you know, just using the front tyre to scrub speed off on Luffield, and then he knows he's on a good lap from his lap delta. It's just a question of running down through Woodcote and yet another pole position.
And you know you've got a stable car when you can be driving it around the New Abbey section with just one hand on the wheel. There he goes, the traditional one-finger salute from Sebastian Vettel. He's the man on pole. Just having a little look at his tyres there. Congratulations to him. And Eddie, we've seen a few times this season Sebastian pulling out some stunning laps, but to come here having perhaps struggled a little more than raced in Valencia a couple of weeks. As a driver, will he have gained from that lap?
Well, I think that's a culmination.
Silverstone, but glad to see that we're back on air and we're chatting away. We were just talking about Red Bull and Red Bull's confidence this weekend, because it's rare to see a team working so hard to catch a team like Red Bull, and they can come to a circuit like this. And actually, that was dominant. That wasn't just pole position. That was dominant.
It was indeed, and this is exactly the sort of performance we saw in Barcelona several Grand Prix ago. And the nature of these two tracks, very high speed, and that plays to the strength of this Red Bull car. But all of these top teams are working hard. You know, we spoke with Mike Gascoigne earlier, and one of the smaller teams at Lotus, they now stop development of this year's car. They go looking towards next year. But your McLarens, your Ferraris, your Red Bulls, possibly Renault, are still working to try and get the maximum out of this year's car.
It's great. This battle is shaping up to be just fantastic. And the battle, of course, will be on track tomorrow. Loads more to talk about, though, until we disappear from here on BBC One. But right now, let's hear from the 3 fastest drivers in the press conference.
Sebastian, another amazing battle for pole with Mark. You dominated here from pole last year. What is it about you and Silverstone?
I don't know. It's really, I mean, we have a lot of races, and then we come here. Friday morning, we do the first couple of laps, and it's unbelievable. The corner combinations, I mean, I can only say it again and again. It's so much fun, especially in quali. I mean, our car obviously works very well in those sort of corners, and then it's just unbelievable. The speed we reach, I mean, I think we're all a bit crazy, but it's so much fun, and the combination is unbelievable. The new section is also great, especially the 11-12, so coming onto the new section with a big bump. But yeah, I really like this track, and fortunately our car always works very well here. So as you said, it was a tight session today. In Q2 I wasn't perfectly happy. I think I was pushing probably a bit too hard and tried a bit too much. So for Q3 I went a bit more conservative. Of course I had to push, but yeah, I had 2 very, very strong laps, and in the end I got the pole, which obviously is the key for tomorrow.
Tell us about the front wing problem you had this morning in free practice and how it affected your preparations for qualifying.
Yeah, well, obviously it wasn't ideal. I mean, it was happening very sudden. I was going down the straight from turn 10, so out of club, approaching Abbey, and then, yeah, I mean, from the inside you don't see your own front wing, so I didn't know what happened first of all. I only felt that something is wrong, so I had to cut the corner. The wing was broken, but yeah, fortunately we could continue with the same kind of wing. So yeah, I think it was the key for this afternoon, and as I said, very pleased. Also for the team again, so I hope we can repeat last year's story with a very good result here. Obviously it's not my home Grand Prix, but I feel home because the team is home here. So yeah, they're only 20 minutes away in Milton Keynes, so it's great for them again to have both cars yeah, that high up, and you know, showing that we are able to build very quick race cars.
Mark, you lost out mainly to Sebastian in the middle sector this afternoon, but overall, do you feel positive about the way you've bounced back from Valencia?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think coming back here after what happened last weekend was not ideal, but good weekend for me, and the team have done a good job. They're happy with the result today, I'm sure. So yeah, look forward to tomorrow.
Fernando, your best qualifying for you and Ferrari since China. Do you feel that you're coming back now, and have you got the pace to challenge tomorrow?
Well, I think we did improve the car, no doubts, in Valencia. Canada was good as well. So we continue to develop the car to perform better and better. I think we had some downs around Barcelona, Turkey Grand Prix. But now I think we are improving the car. We feel more comfortable now, and we are performing better now. So I think we have very strong races in Canada and Valencia. We didn't score the points we wanted because different conditions happened to us to the race. But I think here we are again strong. We are competitive. Hopefully tomorrow we finish the job and we score some good points.
So Fernando is looking to make Ferrari fans smile here tomorrow. Let's just confirm the grid then for the 2010 British Grand Prix, and the man on pole is Sebastian Vettel, just in front of his teammate Mark Webber. Once again, a front row lockout there for Red Bull. Nico Rosberg shown that Mercedes Grand Prix have improved. Some people expected more from Renault and Kubica this weekend. Michael Schumacher once again out-qualified by his teammate. You can see there Nico Hülkenberg. He had a few issues during qualifying with cars getting in his way. We'll have a look at that and talk about that very shortly. And then towards the back of the grid, we've got the usual suspects of Virgin, Lotus and Hispania Racing, with the man at the very back, Sakon Yamamoto, with Hispania Racing. Well, I do apologise if you've had some sound issues. We never like to not be able to give you the full quality here on the BBC, so apologies if you've been struggling with that. But one man who's not been struggling this weekend, he's got a sharp new haircut, he's got a sharp team at the moment. Red Bull are flying. Another smile from Christian Horner. This is really looking like a strong, strong weekend for you.
No, it was a great team performance today. Both drivers were so evenly matched. It was really about the two of them, during this qualifying. Nothing really between the two of them, and a great team performance to see both the Red Bulls 1-2 on the grid, even better than we managed last year here. So very happy with that.
Christian, the new updated front wing, good?
It seems to be working okay. We tried it yesterday. Both drivers had a run with it. It has different characteristics.
Question I want to ask you: why then did you only give it to Christian?
Unfortunately,
Sebastian.
Yeah, unfortunately, after...
Sorry, he's Christian. I've got you wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't know you weren't driving the car.
That's all right. Unfortunately, we only had one after this morning's incident, and sometimes I have to make difficult decisions, and based on P3 and championship position, that went to the left-hand side of the garage today. But very, very little in it. I mean, last night it wasn't clear which wing we were going to use, so very little difference, and yeah.
Christian, maybe you can expand on how do you have that conversation with the drivers? Because I know when I was racing, you always wanted the new part. Whether it was quicker or not, there was just something about getting your hands on it. You sit them both down, or you just talk with the engineers, and how do you deliver the message?
Well, basically, obviously, discuss it with the engineers, and I sat down with with Adrian, and you look at the performance at the end of the day, and the performance difference between the two is absolutely minimal. It's a characteristic as opposed to a clear performance advantage. And unfortunately, when you've only got one, do we leave it off both cars and hurt the whole team? Sometimes I have to make a difficult decision, and based on the P3 and the championship position, this weekend it went to the left-hand side of the garage.
Sebastian's described this weekend as the watershed weekend of the season. He says the pecking order this weekend we could see as the pecking order for the rest of the season. Obviously, you're playing catch-up in both the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship, but if you stay this strong for the rest of the year, this could be, finally, Red Bull's time, couldn't it?
It's too early in the year. We're only at the halfway stage. It's a track that we came here wanting and expecting to do well at. We know there's tracks that will suit other cars. Ferrari have made a step forward this weekend, and there's a long way to go. Tomorrow is a big day for us. It's important we convert this performance into a big points haul tomorrow, but it's very positive.
OK, lovely to chat to you. And just before you go, you did realise that a lot of these people around here were quite keen for a British team and a British one too this weekend.
I did, but I thought there might be some vision problems as well with Eddie's shirt this weekend, so and not just sound.
You leave my shirt alone.
What did you come as?
That's cruel, Christian. I think he looks absolutely lovely. That's a colour scheme we could see on an F1 car.
I don't think people want to hear that, or they want to hear why you gave the front wing to one driver and not the other. Surely it's favouritism.
I told you about that.
All right, thank you very much. Good to chat. Thank you for joining us, and good luck tomorrow. All right, thanks very much. So, a successful day then for the team from Austria. But what about the team from Germany? Mercedes Grand Prix. Nico Rosberg and Michael Schumacher once again made it through to the pole position shootout. But once again, Michael Schumacher was out-qualified by his younger teammate Nico Rosberg. And let's now hear from Nico Rosberg.
Michael, you were showing so much promise out there. Are you disappointed with 10th in the end?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, just didn't get my last run in the first lap. I went wide in turn 13, and I thought, okay, I have one more lap, concentrate for this one. And then it just wouldn't pick up the lap time, and then I pushed extra hard, and it just didn't work, and just made then some mistakes. So a bit frustrating for me, because we worked pretty hard with the car, and we finally in qualifying got it more or less where we wanted it to be, so it would have been okay.
The car that you're driving now is a better, more comfortable car for you to drive than the cars you previously had?
I mean, the most obvious thing is that here the soft tyres for everybody seem to work, whereas in Valencia you had teams the soft tyres gave a benefit to, and other teams it didn't, and here clearly everybody has a benefit, including us. And when the tyres operate normal, I think that is our sort of true performance, what Nico and I probably could have done, have shown.
When you said in your first answer that the car didn't pick up and then you made some mistakes, is that how you feel? Do you think sometimes you're having to overcompensate and overdrive to get the best out of the cars?
No, sometimes it is a matter of balance most of the time, or put it this way, the last two races at least, we just didn't have the balance, neither did we have the grip. What is more responsible for the bad performance in Valencia and Canada, I don't know. Here, it has clearly been an improvement that we made with the car, back to a more normal situation. Just in the final moment, I couldn't get it together.
Well, Michael's clearly had enough of being behind his teammate this season. He hopped in front of Nico Rosberg there, but now we can hear from Nico.
Nico, it looks like big steps have been taken over the past couple of weeks. Does it feel like that when you're driving?
Yeah, definitely. No, we made a lot of progress, and that's good. That's really good to see. It's good to see that everybody understood what went wrong in Valencia and how efficiently we were able to turn it around. Now we're right back in there, beating one Ferrari, one McLaren, where we were miles away in Valencia. So that's great. That's very promising, and makes me look forward to what's to come. And I think we can do a nice podium tomorrow at the home race.
Seems the happiest you've been in, certainly in a few races. You really think a podium's on the cards?
Yeah, of course. You beat one in the start, him, and then take another one in the pit stops, and we'll be fine.
Well, Nico Rosberg's got a smile on his face. Mercedes have certainly taken a bit of a step forward this weekend. We've heard a lot of talk about balance, whether it's from Jenson Button or Michael Schumacher, and the talk about struggling with the balance of the car. Just explain what it is and why it's so important for the drivers.
Of course, you want grip on your car, but there's no point having all that in the front axle, otherwise you'll spin when you turn in. So balance is king, actually. You would much rather have a balanced car than one that generates a little bit more load. And when you imagine entering turn one here at Copse, you're entering that corner over 180 miles an hour. So you turn in in anticipation of just how much the car will slide by the time you arrive at the apex. And for that, you need to know what your balance is. So any of the guys, and we saw with Jensen today, he was complaining of the rear of the car sliding, obviously too much balance towards the front, and he's only managed to qualify 14th.
And Michael Schumacher really struggling this weekend, Eddie, once again.
Well, I don't think he liked the criticism that we laid upon him in the last couple of races, so he's upped his game just to spite us. But look, everybody in the paddock wants to see Michael Schumacher doing well. They don't need to see him outside the top 10 of qualifying. He's been a great ambassador for the sport, whether we like him or not. He's won 7 world titles. I think that it's important that he gets himself up there and tries to get on the podium.
Yeah, and if you didn't see the chat actually before qualifying today with Michael Schumacher, he told us that he doesn't think he's going to win yet this season, but he's here to stay and he wants to be winning once again in Formula One. Well, one team that were hoping to come here and win in front of their home crowd this weekend were McLaren. Things didn't turn out as they would have hoped, struggling with new parts yesterday, struggling in qualifying today for Jenson Button. Lewis Hamilton, he starts 4th on the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. And I suppose you'd say, all in all, as far as Lewis is concerned, it isn't a huge step backwards, but it's not the step forward that even Lewis would have wanted.
No, they were obviously expecting big things from the upgrade. They've had a good history of having big performance gains.
Let's actually hear from Lewis on track.
Really struggling with the rear of the car. Got very low grip from the word go. From the time we exit the pits, very low grip with the rear.
Well, that gives you the kind of problem that a driver can struggle with when they've got a balance issue, David, doesn't it?
Yeah, just as we were saying before, he's complaining about the rear end of the car. And you need to have confidence, especially on a circuit like Silverstone, on a slower track where you're not carrying so much load in on the front axle and turn in. You can get away with it, but not round here. And that's why we're seeing a bigger gap than normal for Jenson.
OK, and hopefully we're going to be joined by Lewis Hamilton in just a couple of moments and talk about his Grand Prix this weekend. And once again, McLaren have got to drive around problems in the race. I suppose the positive thing is this season we've seen when they've struggled in qualifying, the race pace has tended to be better, Eddie.
Well, full marks to Lewis, because if you put in context where Jenson is, it's quite a big gap. And clearly the car and the whole situation in McLaren is not ideal, but he has used the Grand Prix here and the British Grand Prix, the crowd, to the best effect. And I think it's probably given him that little impetus to get himself up onto that 4th position on the grid.
Yeah, I think the half-second gap round here, though, it's understandable because there's so much momentum around these fast corners. You know, if you lose a little bit of confidence and you're not taking the corner flat, you're just lifting, you lose 1.5, 2 tenths down the next straight. So, in actual fact, on a normal track, the gap between them is probably only about a tenth or a couple of tenths.
Well, the thing is that I think such expectation, you rightly said it when we came on air, when we went into the camping site, there was not, you know, so finely balanced between Lewis fans and Jenson fans, but generally it was a must to have a British winner. It's going to be a tall order now, and Lewis is the only one that can do that.
Well, there's quite a lot of commotion behind us. Wherever a Formula One driver moves in the pit lane or the paddock here at the British Grand Prix, they tend to have a few hundred people following them on. And if we can just grab Lewis Hamilton, he's popping in here for a chat with us. Well, Lewis, I guess this is the kind of thing that goes on at the British Grand Prix. Not a moment's peace for you. You're probably at your quietest and you're most relaxed when you jump into the car.
I am, absolutely. I feel at home. How you guys doing? You all right? Today, you can see the support we have here. I've never seen another Grand Prix like it in the world. They've done a great job with the circuit. I think it's a little bit different to the old circuit. I mean, I don't know whether you'd enjoy it as much, but the support, the amount of people that have turned up is absolutely immense.
What is the big difference for you in terms of this new track? There's been much talk about the bumps through Abbey and places like that. Obviously, you've highlighted this is a fantastic Grand Prix, but do you think you've overall lost something in the challenge, or lost something on the challenge of the track? Or
No. I mean, before obviously we had Abbey as a chicane, and you had Bridge, which was exciting. It's just historic corners, a bit like Monaco when you go through the tunnel. That's like our bridge. That's what makes our track. That's how I remember our circuit. But you know, I think here we've got the new Abbey, which is very, very fast. It's bumpy as hell. It's so bumpy through there. And all weekend, I've just been raising the car more and more and more. But fortunately, it worked through that session.
Lewis, if we were to look at the different qualifying cases and the sessions before this, 4th position on the grid, you must be really, really happy with this.
I'm happy. I'm happy as pie, I must say. I'm so happy with that. I think really we're quite a chunk off. We did everything we could. The team did an incredible job to really try to bring the upgrade package. Unfortunately, it didn't work. We had to revert back last night, which I wasn't too keen to do. I still wanted to try it. And you know, the other guys, I mean, our car is amazing. Through the high street corners is the fastest I've ever been here, but they're flat out through turn 1. I can't get flat out through turn 1. And there's other, you know, they're 4/10ths up in the middle sector and the last sector. I mean, it's incredible.
But it's a tall order, isn't it? I mean, you've got 2 Red Bulls in front of you. Have you ever seen cars with grip like that before?
Never. So, you know what, I'm just going to get a rope, tag along, follow them for as long as possible, rely on my team to hopefully give me the best pit stop tomorrow. It's going to be a real challenge. But in terms of pure pace, it's impossible to touch them at the moment until we get the blown diffuser. But and same for Ferraris. But we will push. Anything can happen. Their reliability is not as good as ours. So hopefully we can bank on that.
We're just talking about development process. We spoke with Gary Paffett earlier, who was actually down at the factory on the simulator. When the test driver goes there, do you give him a few pointers and say, look, can you concentrate in this area, or do you just totally leave it to the design team and the engineers?
I leave it to the team. I mean, the great thing is, you know, we're such a great team, and Gary straight away, we had some problems. Gary went back to the simulator. They took the information we had of all the bumps, they simulated it, and they tried to find a setup. And the setup came back to us, and we analyzed it last night, and you know, we used some of that today, which worked out better. So thanks to Gary and the contribution for everyone in the team, bit by bit we make steps forward. So
after yesterday's struggles, you look like a man smiling because he's sitting 4th. I guess at one point this weekend there was quite a bit of concern about where you might qualify. Have you spoken to Jensen? Do you know the issue about why he was half a second behind you? He said he thought something was wrong with the car.
I haven't been back yet. You know, our car is really difficult to drive this weekend, you know. To be on the limit and through those high-speed corners, we're constantly trying to take it flat. You know, some corners flat, but it's not really that easy for us, and we run wide. It's very difficult to actually put the lap together. So I haven't seen him yet, but, you know, it's just one of those days.
OK, well, perhaps 110,000 people can pick you up and carry you along tomorrow and perhaps nick you past a Ferrari and a couple of Red Bulls.
That's the plan, that's the plan. I'm sure they will.
All right, Lewis, thanks for joining us. And good luck getting from here to the Brand Centre. And off goes Lewis with a sort of throng of autograph hunters and photographers around him. Do you remember coming to the British Grand Prix and being mobbed every step you make?
Not as much as Lewis, you know, that's just the power, I think, of his popularity. He's been a great champion, and, you know, he's very chilled there, isn't he? You know, that seemed like a very sincere, you know, that was probably the best we could get today. And there's a sparkle in his eye towards tomorrow. He knows it's not over. He mentioned about the reliability.
You're modest, by the way. Just to let you know that after us today, it is the Golf from Loch Lomond. Hazel Irvine is standing by. That's live right after us here on BBC One. Tomorrow we are back. The build-up to the British Grand Prix starts at 12:10 on BBC One. And, of course, it's a big day of sport tomorrow. The World Cup final, the Netherlands versus Spain, 6:30 p.m, also on BBC One. So I suggest that you sit down on the sofa at midday tomorrow and don't move until the end. Certainly what we're hoping to give people tomorrow is a cracking British Grand Prix. Eddie, David, thank you both very much for joining us. Well, at a very hot Silverstone, the paddock tried to turn up the heat on Red Bull, but Sebastian Vettel is once more the man at the front. Could a German spoil the British party once again? See you tomorrow.
Same old you, the same old me. You get bored and I get cold feet. Get high, get wandering eyes. Forget I've never ever had it so sweet. I realise what I've got when I'm out of town. Cause deep down you're my girl in a golden crown. My princess and I don't wanna let you down.
Jensen button through now, and he hasn't done it. And he's done it. It's a fifth pole position for Sebastian Vettel.
Waka waka baby, yeah! Love kick starts again.